It's March 13th. It is day 52 of the Trump presidency. And I am wearing my corporate nerd clothes because I had an interview today for a promotion and they've already moved me through to next steps. So cheers to that. Maybe updates next week at some point. Anyways, let's get into the stupid ass news. Trump is asking the Supreme Court to allow partial restrictions on birthright citizenship. It keeps getting knocked down by all the courts everywhere. They keep saying, no, sorry. What Trump wants them to do is to say that anyone born after February 19th of this year, which, by the way, was my birthday, in the United States, whose parents are not legal citizens, they do not have any right to citizenship and they cannot be issued any kind of documentation here in the United States. Again, so far, every single court has said no, and we'll see what the Supreme Court has to say about it. He's asking them for like a partial allowance of this while they fight this in court, because the Trump administration is obviously fighting every court that has denied him this right, or whatever the case may be. This is happening to him a lot. A lot of his executive orders are getting shot down. Again, same question from the very beginning. A, will the courts continue to stand strong and shoot this down? B, will they follow the court orders if they do continue to get shot down? Time will tell. I know his press secretary was like talking shit about this today and, just spinning the narrative that like this is like an infringement on executive power, yada, yada. That's not how that works, bitch, but whatever. Anyways, this is the news. I told you it was coming so that you wouldn't be disappointed, because I knew in my gut that this is exactly what the fuck was going to happen. Democrats were like talking just literally yesterday about how they're not going to pass the fucking spending bill. Well, Schumer has already fucking tucked tail and said he is going to try to convince everyone to pass the Republican spending bill because he's unwilling to risk a shutdown. He claims it's going to be worse to allow a government shutdown, and that would allow Trump to just do whatever he wanted. Hey, newsflash. Trump is doing whatever he wants anyway. Okay. And this just shows, again, to me, it literally shows, it's like someone showing up to a gunfight with a wooden stick. And this is what they do every fucking time. They're like, well, we're going to follow the rules while the other guys don't at all. So anyway, I mean, we're not going to get anywhere with these people in office. And honestly, like until we get the money out of politics, I don't know. I don't foresee democracy withstanding, but we'll see. I mean, there's days when I feel a little bit of hope. Maybe if all these people die, some of them are getting up there. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of good news for you. I'm sorry. We'll see what happens, but we can expect the spending bill to pass. I mean, I was already prepared for that. Speaking of money, Wall Street had another super shitty day. The S&P hit some sort of record, but it's literally just like, I think, a record since Trump took office. So that's not much of a record. In any case, it's down 10%. The Dow dropped another 537 points. The NASDAQ is down 2%. So yeah, sorry. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good for anyone. This story, to me, is quite heartwarming. There is a giant protest right now in Trump Tower. There are hundreds, if not thousands, I don't have a head count, of Jewish protesters flooding the lobby of Trump Tower. They're protesting the detainment of Mahmoud Khalil and demanding his release. I, when all of this started on October 7th, is it 7th or 17th? Sorry, I have some other important dates in October. When it all started, a couple of years ago, has it been a couple of years or just one? I have lost track of time, you guys. I'm so sorry. I think like a year and a half, kind of. In any case, there were a lot of, especially Hasidic Jews, but Jewish people speaking out in like favor of and in protection of the Palestinians that were essentially, the Palestinian citizens that were being slaughtered. I think there is a very big difference between soldiers who have agreed to go to war and citizens getting like hospitals getting bombed. I mean, that's, again, to me, there's a very clear distinction. There's a reason why it's called a war crime. There's a reason why the Geneva Convention exists. It's so that this stuff doesn't happen. In any case, it hasn't stopped, and I really appreciate the solidarity. I appreciate that the people are able to see, hey, like, this is literally exactly what happened to our people. We do not want this to happen to any people, no matter who those people are. And I feel very strongly about that, again, citizens should not be involved in war. And I understand that sometimes collateral damage happens, but it should be extremely minimal. It should not be like soldiers shooting kids point blank in the head. Like, that should never happen on any side of a war. If it's happening, there's a serious fucking problem. So again, I really appreciate it. I don't know how much of an impact it's going to make, but I think it's getting a lot of headlines. It's on a lot of, it's in all of the top publications today that I've seen. Speaking of hypocrisy, a former Texas megachurch pastor was just indicted in Oklahoma on child sex abuse charges. His name is Robert Preston Morris. He's 63. He was charged with 5 counts of lewd acts with a child who at the time of the crime was 12 years old. That was in 1982. I am really glad that justice is being served. I don't know what his, I don't know if he just goes to jail and awaits trial or what happens. But in any case, I feel like this is sort of a broken record that just occurs over and over again in our society right now, where these Christian and Catholic leaders turn out to be predators. I do think we have a problem with predators in positions of power in society in general, very clearly in our government. I mean, in our government, it's at wild levels, and it has clearly, now it is a wildfire of sorts. It's run rampant and it's out of control. And I think the same can be said for the church, to be honest with you. I think that there needs to be, I don't know if reform is the answer. I don't know what the answer is, but it's not okay. So I appreciate every time someone gets caught and put in the slammer where they should be, at the very least. This kind of pissed me off. I understand, but it's a little bit gross. So the NATO Secretary General, Mark Rutte, I don't know, it's Rutte. He is, I think it's probably strategic. So again, I understand. And if you want to charm a narcissist, this is what you have to do. But he's kissing Trump's ass publicly. And this is after Trump and Musk, and I understand that they have to be literally terrified. This is after Trump and Musk are like really calling into question if the United States is going to remain a part of NATO. So Mark came out and said that the members of NATO all plan to comply. So Trump is saying that he's angry that other NATO countries are not spending enough on their defense. I think that what Trump is saying is that he feels like the United States is kind of carrying the brunt financially and in terms of like actually putting up the manpower or the weapon power or something. And so NATO is saying, sure, like we'll do whatever you say. We'll absolutely ramp up the defense spending. And then he said that NATO is invigorated under Trump's leadership. That was the part that grossed me out. Again, the problem is if they don't do this, the whole world is kind of risking a war with the United States right now. And I've seen people like Europeans making videos saying that other countries are quietly preparing for a war with the United States. And they probably are. I would think that behind closed doors, when I first read that, I was like, oh, like the NATO countries are also like ramping up their defense spending in case they need it to fight us. And I don't think that that's totally out of the realm of possibilities because no one knows what he's going to do. He's just totally unpredictable. So I think they feel like They have to be like truly prepared for anything. And I think that's fucking smart. You have to be. When there is a narcissist in a position of power in your life, you should expect regular tantrums, like abusive tantrums. You should expect regular punishments for nothing. And they will come out of nowhere and you will not be prepared. And if they have control over any part of you, like financially, or like if you need a narcissist for something, you're pretty fucked. Because they really get a lot of, like, they power trip off of taking things away from you, especially if you need them. So anyways, this is just, again, it's like on a world scale that people are starting to, they're witnessing what it means to be abused by a narcissist, because he's like abusing the entire world. It's fucking crazy, but I'm actually just surprised that I'm not like way more messed up about it. I think I've just done so much work on it and I've gone to therapy enough that I'm just sort of like, yep, this is how they are. And my thoughts on narcissism are that, like, I personally don't believe that he has control over his actions. I know that there is a school of thinking that maybe disagrees with that. Just in my like close up and personal like witness of what it is when they lose control and they throw a tantrum, to me, it seems almost like an anxiety disorder, but like rage and attacking anything that touches their ego or like encroaches on their fragile sense of self. They rage at it. Interestingly enough, and there's very little data about this because they're not able to do studies with narcissists because narcissists won't agree that there's anything wrong. But the narcissist that they've gotten to be able to take anti-anxiety medication, it reduces symptoms. So again, I believe that narcissism is caused by trauma. There is a lot of evidence for that. And I think that there's sort of is like, you know, there's a range of reactions to trauma, right? And one is codependence, like hyper empathy, which is equally debilitating in many ways, but it's just a lot more accepted by society. And then there is narcissism, which essentially cuts the self off from the ability to experience other people at all or empathy at all. And again, sets them up for this like constant explosive attack. It's honestly probably really horrible experience to be alive as a narcissist in many ways, but it's hard to say for sure because again, I only have my observations. Anyways, it makes me, I think what I'm saying is I don't take it personally and I don't think it is personal. I don't think Trump has any fucking clue where he is, who he is. I personally feel that narcissists are completely detached from reality. I think that he is functioning within almost like a playpen that exists inside of reality. And again, anytime he bumps against the edges of this playpen, he explodes. I don't know. It looks like a form of torture to me, but the unfortunate thing is that narcissists then also go ahead and torture everyone around them. So here we are, and now NATO's in the middle of it, and so is the whole entire rest of the world. Speaking of narcissistic rage, I'm sure we're due for some crazy ass posts on Truth Social tonight and tomorrow because a judge ordered Trump to rehire the thousands and thousands of probationary workers that were fired. Like, this is a fucking joke, right? Nope, it's not. This is literally what's happening. The judge claims that these people were fired illegally by Charles Ezell, the director of the Office of Personnel Management, and that he did not have the authority to do that. Obviously, Elon is kind of at the core of this. They're utilizing like other people as scapegoats, to like put the rubber stamp on this shit. Just all of it's fucking wild. And honestly, like the people that are allowing themselves to be utilized as scapegoats are all going to have like serious consequences to their lives for participating in this, which just, I mean, I believe that every single person involved in this is probably scared of Trump and Elon. But, you know, if you don't draw that line somewhere, you lose yourself in this process of being swallowed by this regime. And a lot of people are going to get swallowed by it. So the Trump administration also withdrew the nomination for the director of the CDC, I guess. Okay, so his name is Dr. David Weldon. They withdrew the nomination because it just before the Senate hearing, which I think was, I don't know if it was tomorrow or the next day, but anyways, they don't have enough support, not even from Republicans. So I don't know. I didn't see that there was any replacement in mind right now. I guess they're probably just like pushing that process back a bit until they figure it out. And I don't know why he was so controversial. I did see, like, I scanned a little bit, and there are some sane Republicans saying that, like, they don't like his vaccine stance. I think that there's, like, the faction of people that are more, like, MAGA, and then there's the people that are, like, the technocrat, billionaire people, and then maybe there's some actual, still very sad, lonely, sane Republicans in there. I don't know how many. I don't really know who they are. Sucks to be them. Got to be a real weird experience to watch your party just implode like this. More humiliating news for Trump. All of the migrants that were sent to Guantanamo have been released. They are now in Louisiana awaiting deportation. Not sure what happened there. I mean, there's a lot of news coming out of Guantanamo of like horrible fucking treatment. So I don't know if they were starting to get into hot water legally and they backed down. Again, all of this is always going to be a game of chicken. It's going to be like, who is going to give in first, basically? Will the Trump administration cave to legal pressure and legal threats and financial threats, or will the legal system cave? You know, we're gonna see. So Putin has sort of vaguely, but like partially rejected Trump's ceasefire proposal on Ukraine, and basically came back and, again, subtly but not really, said, no, we don't want a ceasefire. We want like a permanent peace situation, but we want you to give us what we want. So, like, you give us the land we want, whatever else. I don't know if they want resources, and then we'll stop fighting. And until that happens, no. So that's interesting. You know what's crazy about that is, like, Trump has publicly said he's going to sanction Russia. I fucking would pay to see that. Please, bitch, do it and see what Putin does to you. Because you belong to him. And you know it, and I know it, and a lot of other people know it. So, you know, it seems like this is like exactly what I would think would happen with a narcissist, is that his own ego, he can't be beholden to someone else. It doesn't matter if his life's at stake. It really doesn't. And I don't know, I would assume Putin does understand that about him, but I just don't know that Putin's going to tolerate it. So anyways, it'll be very interesting to see what happens with this. If Putin refuses to do the ceasefire and then makes Trump look like weak on the world stage, will Trump retaliate? Then will Putin retaliate? Like, it, I don't know. Sounds fun to watch. Speaking of fun to watch, probably not. There's a volcano in Alaska called Mount Spur that is highly likely, according to experts, to erupt in the coming weeks or months. It would probably not have a huge radius, but it does say that it would leave the surrounding cities covered in ash. They measure like stuff coming out of the volcano. So anyways, I don't know. It sounds like it's a legitimate possibility. And again, I don't know. Obviously Alaska isn't highly populated, so it's like not the worst place to have something like that happen, but I don't know if those local cities are, I don't know how far it's going to go into the cities. And again, they don't have an exact timeline. They're just saying that it's highly likely in the next 6 months for sure. It could be as soon as just weeks away or months away. Like, they don't know. This makes me really sad. The EPA is planning to roll back 31 climate rules. They're rules that address both climate change and also reduce pollution. Again, like, I would think that there are consequences on the world stage for a country doing something like that right now, because it does affect the entire world. What do other countries do about it? I don't fucking know. I mean, Trump is saying out loud that he thinks that climate change is a hoax. I don't know if he really believes that or if he's just saying it because that's what he's being told to say publicly by the rest of the idiots that he's, again, beholden to. But also, he appears to be rapidly losing his grip on whatever sanity he ever had, which is, that's your prerogative once you're up there in age. If you're, it's just a thing that happens. It's just whatever. But it would be real nice if we didn't have a president saying shit like that, because it's not only is it embarrassing, it's objectively false. It's provably false. And again, it puts us in a situation where we are now a danger to the entire world. So depending on the degree to which, I mean, we are, the irony, and it's not funny, but again, I don't know what else to do other than like, just, I wouldn't even say I'm laughing about it. I'm more just like, well, I guess we're fucked. Because like, we are at a tipping point with climate change where if we don't take drastic action to reduce climate change right now, I don't know if we can make it back to a place, it may be too late. We may be turning in a direction that is irreversible, that we can't, makes it essentially, difficult to grow food outdoors. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are coming down the pipe for us, especially really severe weather. And those are things that, again, it's crazy. It's crazy that our need for decency has allowed men like Trump to take power in indecent ways and destroy the world with it. And there's people like Chuck Schumer sitting there saying, well, we got to pass the budget. Okay. You're the one holding the gun at this point, Chuck. All of you, like every single person who did nothing or who just fucking sat there like a little bitch. Like, I'm never going to forgive any of these fucking people. None of them, honestly. Anyways, at some point though, we all do have to say, it is what it is, because there's not so much that you as an individual can do about world governments, right? But I mean, never discount the power of your voice. The people protesting at Trump Tower right now matter. Everyone's speaking out. It all matters. All of it matters. It really does. And just even letting the people around you know where you stand matters too, because people need to know how many of us there are. So anyways, sorry for the buzzkill. I know you are obviously a masochist. If you watch this shit, you watch this every day, you're a masochist. And that's okay. You're in good company, because I am too, very clearly. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.